let me say a special good morning to Grenada, our sister isles of Carriacou and PT Martinique. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Hope all is well with everyone who is tuned in this morning. Whether you're listening to Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9, you're viewing via GBN TV, whether you're on Channel 7, you're on Channel 11 or Channels 20. Good morning to you, and thanks for being with us this morning here on To The Point. Those of you via social media, especially our Facebook page or the YouTube channel, GBN's webpage, that's gbn.gd. You've chosen to view and listen from these options. Good morning to you and welcome. I'm your host, GT. I'm going to be around with you for the next hour here on To The Point. And certainly, we have an interesting lineup for you this morning that should grab the interest of our viewers and listeners out there. And of course, the option of participating is certainly welcome. We do offer that option where you can call in and probably have a question or two and we could lead to my guest. Let me say good morning to my guest. That's Dr. Curlan Gilchrist. Good morning to you, sir. How are you this morning?
Hi, it's a pleasant morning. It's a great morning, sir.
It's a great morning.
Beautiful morning. Yeah, it's great, beautiful.
I wonder why you have that option of it being a great morning.
Yeah, because you're on the program, man. Opening up the day, you know.
All right, well, welcome. This morning, we want to spend some time this morning, talking on a topic that seems to have been grabbing the attention of most of our viewing and listening audience, Grenada as a whole. We're talking minimum wage this morning. We know of course, the Attorney General, the Minister of Legal Affairs, that's the Claudia Joseph, has mandated the Wage Advisory Committee. And in terms of under your chairmanship, of course, to commence a series of consultation with major stakeholders, etc., with a view of revising Grenada's minimum wage. Let's start the conversation this morning in terms of Grenada's minimum wage. Tell us where the committee's at now in terms of the process of the various consultation that has been, of course, been instituted by under your control or chairmanship,
yes,
I should say.
Well, good morning to the listening public. Locally, regionally, internationally. Internationally, I suppose, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Right, great. Well, the committee comprised three representatives representing the Employers Federation. We have three representing the trade unions, and then government has two nominees. So that's the composition of the committee, and not strange enough, but interestingly, the TUC representative are all males. The employers representatives are all females.
Interesting. I like how you put that there.
Yeah, so that's interesting. But to get to the point, we have started a series of consultation. We started by speaking to employers. So we have already met with the umbrella organization for employers, which is the Grenada Chamber of Industry and Commerce / Employers Federation. We had meetings with the Tourism and Hotel Association. Today, around lunchtime, we'll be meeting with construction companies, major contractors, and so on. So these are the sectoral meetings. I've had meetings with some of the manufacturing companies already. In terms of public consultation, engaging with citizens and having that conversation with the citizens, we have started that series. First one was held at Heinze School. That's in town there. We had a good turnout. Very interesting things came from the citizens. Today, this afternoon at 6 p.m., we shall be at Current Government School. So the constituency of St. David's, the parish of St. David's, and thereafter, every Wednesday, we move to a different parish. I think the last place we'll be holding that consultation is Carriacou and PT Martinique. That is around the first week in April. But we intend to meet all major stakeholders. There are some other stakeholders that we are seeking to meet. For example, in the agriculture sector, very key stakeholders, employers in the telecommunications sector, services. We intend to touch base with everybody, right? To get it. So to bring a set of awareness to the situation in terms of the level of wages at a lower level, and to get consensus on the need to raise it and at what level.
All right.
That's the essence of what we're trying to do.
Okay. So tell me, we know the way the advisory committee, the wage advisory committee was reconstituted back. Was it in September of 2022, right? If I'm right about that?
That's correct, sir.
That's in 2022. So which means It's been 11 years which folks have been working for the salary level that they're at right now. I mean, it needs to be revised because cost of living has increased in many sectors and in many ways. Things are different. What is the advisory committee hopes to achieve when we get to the bottom of this?
Yes, so it's an advisory committee. So after we finish all these series of consultations, we sit down, put our notes together, and then submit a recommendation to the Minister of Labor, who will then take that to the cabinet. So that's the process. But just let me clarify one thing you have said. The minimum wage sets in law, all right, the minimum salary payable to certain category of workers. For example, in security services, those guys in uniform, at the moment, based on 2012 law, they should be paid a minimum of $8 per hour. So that's a minimum. They can be paid way above that, subject to productivity, skills, training, experience, and so on. So we are looking at a minimum threshold.
Okay.
We are saying no worker should be paid less than that amount, irrespective of the job or the task done. No worker in Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martin. That's a minimum. And we are hoping, I want to say quickly, that it's more or less, in some instances, entry-level positions. We don't expect people to stay at the minimum, right? We don't expect anybody to stay at the minimum wage. You work your way up.
So true.
But those are unskilled, entry-level positions. And I must say, we do have some new categories that we want to put into law. So I've got good news for you. And as I speak to you, the media industry and the media professionals, that's a category we have recognized that should get some attention. And they will be specifically mentioned in the law in terms of the minimum salary payable.
I'm getting a smile. Well, that is certainly bringing a smile on my. Well, that is certainly bringing a smile on my face for some reason.
Yeah. So we do have some categories, like reporter and announcer and so on. We are not going to leave it up to demand and supply to determine wage. We are going to set in law the minimum wage or slash salary payable for the providing of a basket of services. Yeah.
All right.
So I wouldn't yet tell you the figure yet, but by the end of the month, if you speak to me, you get an idea what we are looking at in terms of a definitive recommendation in that area. So the media industry, we are going to recognize professionals or entry-level employees there and prescribe in law the minimum salary payable to anyone working in the media industry. Minimum. Also, there are some other areas. We have the creative economy, and of course, emerging will be new occupation, and those we want to set in law. All right, government is not leaving certain things. You can't leave it to just the demand and supply to determine the wage. All right, you do have employers who may not be nice. Let me put it this way. Yeah, I may just choose to to pay you a wage that you don't deserve. Yeah, so that's the approach. And let me quickly say, the policy objective driving the revision of the minimum wage is not just to adjust the minimum level of salaries payable in law, but also to do it in a way that whatever we arrive at should be conceptually a living wage. You must be able to live on it in terms of the acquisition of your basic needs. You should be able to live on it. So whatever recommendation we put forward in terms of adjusting the minimum wage upwards should, in essence, allow people to be able to live on that wage. So in a sense, we are moving from the concept of a minimum wage to a living wage. That's where we are going conceptually.
All right.
And hopefully, when we arrive at the levels, I'm hoping, subject to consultation and counsel from employers and employees, that that wage we arrive at should not put you into poverty. Yeah.
Oh, great. No, I want to ask you this for as a general question. There may be folks who are listening to us this morning and may not understand this. In your own way of bringing it across to the viewing and listening public, tell us minimum wage. When someone says minimum wage, what does that really mean?
Right. It means in law for certain occupation, a monthly salary is prescribed in law. Yeah,
Okay.
or an hourly salary. In the case of security services, it's stated per hour. In case of construction workers, like carpenters, masons, it's quoted per day. Yeah.
All right.
So if you look at the law, you will see these rates per day and sometimes per hour. So that's the minimum we are speaking about, and that was established since 2012. Since 2012.
Who are the workers who could be considered as falling into that particular category of minimum wage?
Well, in some countries, the idea of adjusting minimum wage has always been debatable. If you look at the United States, they have been saying, okay, if you raise the minimum wage, then employers may seek to employ people and just pay them minimum wage. Yeah, there's always the argument that employers will react because you're increasing the costs of doing business. But in terms of answering your question, we do have construction. We have. Just repeat the question, Mia.
No, I was saying, no, in a general consensus, who are the workers or individuals who will fall into that particular category of minimum wage?
All category of workers. All. And this is what we are seeking to transform the concept of minimum wage, because the existing law confined it to certain categories of workers. We are seeking to broaden that.
Okay.
In the existing law, mainly construction workers, domestic, like cooks and bartenders, bus drivers, bus conductor, electrician. So it kind of confined agricultural workers. It was confined to certain category of workers. And we have seen that we have moved beyond that. So we are seeking to broaden it and let it be any worker in any industry. That's where we are broadening the conversation.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting. We drew for a break, Mr. Gilchrist. Let's take that break. We come back and we discuss some more. Stay with us, folks. It's To The Point for today. It's Wednesday, the 12th day of April. We're coming right back after the break. Stay with us.
Customers and experts have tested Dormer's high-impact windows and realized just how durable they are. Forget burglar proofing. Get 20 years warranty on frames, sea blast resistance, no rust or corrosion, and value for your money. Visit Caribbean Shutters, Windows and Doors for Dormer's quality UPVC solutions.
Do you know, when you play the games of the National Lotteries Authority, you are supporting sports, culture, and nation building in Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique?
Hi, I am Junior Murray, cricket coach, sports enthusiast, and a former West Indies cricketer. I endorse the games of the NLA 100%. For the past 40 years, the NLA has been funding many sporting activities, including competition for schools and clubs, and for athletes to participate in overseas tournaments such as the Carifta Games and the regional cricket tournaments. Additionally, they made it possible for you, the public, to view local, regional, and international tournaments from the comfort of your homes. For those reasons, I play the game of the NLA. Even if I do not win, I know Grenada always wins.
Yes, when you play all the games, the NLA in turn supports sports, culture, and nation-building activities throughout the Tri-Island state.
Well, let's say welcome back to our listeners and viewers this morning. It's to the point for today, Wednesday, the 12th day of April within the year 2023. I'm back with my host this morning. That's Dr. Curlan Gilchrist. We talk in minimum wage and other financial matters that we will certainly will get into this morning. Welcome back, Dr. Gilchrist, once again to the point here this morning. First bit of conversation that we were having, we spent a lot of time talking about the minimum wage. Of course, as you mentioned, it's a broad topic that we could discuss this morning. I want to slightly move to the part where you did mention about some of the consultation that you did already had already with, of course, with various stakeholders. I want you to tell me how the process of that conversation been going with the stakeholders. Have they been resistant? Have they been accepting? What are some of the the inputs or recommendations that you and the committee have submitted to them? What was the feedback like from the stakeholders in terms of those conversations you've been having with the various stakeholders?
Yes, very, very good. You're seeking to get inside information.
I don't want to get too deep inside, but if you could give us just a bit of the touching the surface with it, if I could say that.
But I can tell you, when we met with the Hotel Association, of course, representing large hotels, medium-sized, small hotels, what we proposed, they had asked for a lowering of the level for maybe small hotels, to give consideration to. The other employers generally accepted the view that the minimum wage needs to increase.
All right.
That has been accepted. Yeah, the stakeholders meeting, that is talking to the citizens. A lot of things came out, and I just want to highlight in the area geriatric care. Caring for the elderly, workers, they complain about being paid very, very low wages in the context of the what they have to do, and wages being discussed at those consultations as low as $700 and $800 per month.
Wow.
Workers are saying after that, after the statutory deductions, like the take-home pay is all $400 and $500. Those were alarming revelation,
Yeah.
in terms of what exists now. So that was mind shocking to me. Yeah, that caring for the elderly, it's an area that I don't think we put enough value and attention to. And therefore we'll be making strong recommendations for adjustments in that particular area. And what is also coming out is that the idea of the cost of living and coping with the high cost of living and so on. But that one, the minimum wage adjustment is just part of the intervention or the solution to attending to meeting your needs in the context of the cost of living. I mean, the cost of living issues have to do with money management. So we'll talk about it later on. I know you go probe me on another issue. But it's all belong to money management. But in general, the common point being made by our citizens is that the levels of wages are definitely low. All right, low in the context of the high cost of living, and therefore basic needs. And this is something we want to attend to, because when people can't meet their basic needs, given the nature of man, other things may happen. Yeah, other things may happen, and we don't want any social and other implication of people unable to earn enough to meet the basic needs. So this is our part of the contribution to a stable society, making sure that people earn a wage. That is just the message that are being put into to citizens, is that all I suppose they need is a just share of the generation of wealth, created by virtue of the hard work. They just want a just share. And that's the context in which we are addressing the minimum wage. So we are not promoting any increase in salary and all of that, No, it's just an adjustment. And of course, we are also pushing the message that one needs to increase their productivity, and you got to work for a living. The Bible says, by the sweat of thy brow thou shalt eat bread. So this is not a free lunch we are promoting. We are just saying that people's value must be adjusted correctly and rightly in the context of a fair share for the generation of wealth in this country.
I'm certainly in agreement with you with that. You should be paid for what you work for and paid
Yeah.
handsomely for it also. Another question is a conversation I've been hearing folks saying that, maybe you could correct me in that, or if there's any truth to this particular statement, is that minimum wage in Grenada is probably the lowest in comparing to other countries within the OECS. Is there any truth to that?
That's correct. That's correct. And not just the minimum wage. I think our wage levels are the lowest within the OECS. So it's not just the minimum wage. It's low. And I think this needs to be addressed. I'll give you an example. When we talk about the gross domestic product, right? That's where you put a value to what is being produced in the country by the people, value of the production of goods and services. That's called your GDP, your gross domestic product. That's how you value a country. But that's how you value a country's economy. And we are with a population of, can we agree to 110,000 population?
Let's agree to that, yes.
Yes, I agree to that. I know they are counting it. So over here, now they have been counting, but we know the problem they encountered, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're counting it. So with a population of 110,000, our gross domestic product is just around 3 billion EC dollars. Yeah? Take a country like Antigua, with a population of maybe around 70,000, and their GDP is twice ours. So we are really undervaluing ourselves. We are worth much more than that. All we are doing is trying to adjust the value and the water for our people. That's all we are trying to do.
Why is it like that in a generalized question? Why is it like that in Grenada?
Yeah, you find it strange, yeah?
I'm just asking you, why is it like that in Grenada? Why is it like that?
Well, it's a combination of factors. I mean, I'm not buying the argument that we are small. It has nothing to do with wealth. Because Bermuda is a very small country and has one of the highest capita income in the world, right?
Yes.
So it has nothing to do with size. But I just think historically, the pay structure has been very, very low. And I mean, the trade unionists may want to say, well, maybe the trade unions are not be as vigilant as they can. I don't know. Because in countries where you have strong trade unionism, wages are much higher. Yeah? But I believe is the structural economy is not well diversified. I mean, some areas you don't really have competition, just one or two players dominate the industry, so they control the level of wages and so on. So the whole is a structural issue that we have inherited, and we are trying to break the back of it.
Is it an option?
Yeah?
Is it also an option where individuals are just accepting what they get because of terms of just wanting to have a job?
Yeah, well, one of the factors to where you have high unemployment. Yeah, employers can use that to their advantage, because if you refuse the salary offer, they can move to the next person.
So true.
Yeah, so the issue of unemployment is a contributing factor. If you lower if you create jobs, and if there is low levels of unemployment, then I think you can see wages be more competitive. So you can actually in an interview discuss the wage or agree to a wage that you would want, and they'll pay you for it.
Is it also the option of qualification plays a part in that also?
I don't think so. I think since after the revolution, I think the education levels of our country has really risen. Since after the revolution, and that is one of the benefits of the revolution. It has created a sense of one trying to raise oneself through education. So I think education levels, no, I would not say that. Although when you look at the characteristic of those who are poor, low levels of education is a factor.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. When you look at why people are really, really poor, what are the characteristics? What are the factors that cause them to be in poverty? And one factor is emerging is the issue of low levels of education, not being able to complete primary school. And that is so because we are in a knowledge era now. Yeah? We are in an internet age. And therefore, any extreme poverty you would discover in any country in this world today, you can link it back to low levels of education, because when you don't have education, you don't have the ability to acquire and retool yourself and so on. Yeah. So it really hinders you. So,
right.
but generally, I think we are doing our fair share in terms of raising the educational prospects of our country.
All right. So they agree that we do have a caller online who's trying to get in. I guess he may have him or her may have a question or two that we want to ask. Let's entertain them. Caller, good morning and welcome. Be brief,
good
please.
morning,
And be
Lucy,
brief.
good morning,
And
Dr.
caller, be brief, please.
Gilchrist. You mentioned
sir.
a number of things which trigger my attention, which I was planning to raise in any case. But before I go on to what I want to raise, I think there's a downside to the process that is going on, because a number of people will want to come to the activities and things, like somebody who is blind in Lacalome wants to go to the event. Been trying to find out yesterday whether, any form of transportation will be made available. And that's where I think when you're planning things like the issue of community aspect of it comes in. But this is not a criticism. This is just a sort of really pointing out that is one of the things that should be considered. In terms of Dr. Gilchrist's pronouncement so far, the issue of justice and peace, to me, this is what the minimum wage or the living wage should be focused the context, because if you don't have justice, then you can have the potential for conflict, for anarchy, and that kind of thing, for payday larceny, and all that kind of thing, all the things. And then you mentioned about education. But it depends on what you mean by education. Because a few years ago, I read documents where, like, there's a higher employment among European young people who are so-called educated. So it depends on how this, and he said it rightly, the structure of the society, the economy, I would say now, the structure of the society. When you put the society at the expense of the economy at the expense of the society, you have all these kind of problems. So it's something I think, and I'm very always encouraged when Dr. Gilchrist is speaking, because he's saying some of the things that people are afraid to say. It's important. My thing with the education thing is that indeed there was some hope in the revolution in terms of the rights, but the education that people have been receiving post-revolution is servitude education that makes you, in fact, when you look at even from the preschool, the children's mind have been destroyed from preschool, daycare, all these things. So at the end of the day, those people don't know who they are. They are looking for a job. They told me that when I went to school to address them, that when they come into school is to get a job, and that should not be the case. We should expose people with the skills that they could negotiate, that could stand up on their own, not in a very ferocious or callous way, but in a dignified way, because people don't believe that they could negotiate. And then finally, there's I think a verse in the scripture that says an indication where an employer or a man paid 3 people. He had 3 of them at different times, but he paid all of them different time of the day. But he paid all of them the same price. And I think we should look at that in terms of a justice point of view. If people need to eat, if people need various requirements, we should consider that they have to do, otherwise they'll be looking for it somewhere. So thank you for indulgence.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution this morning. Anything in response to the caller's contribution this morning, Mr. Gilchrist?
Yes, he is correct. The idea of justice, a just wage, is essential to the minimum wage, and this is why governments has to intervene. Governments, there is no. If the market was fair in terms of the demand and supply to fix the wage, if the market was fair, then there would have been no need for government to intervene. But because the market is not fair, then governments have to intervene to legislate a wage which mirrors a just wage. But so he's correct, and this is why we are saying that our focus really in this consultation is to come up with a wage that is just and that give value for money. That's our focus of our conversation going forward. So he's correct in that context.
Okay. Let's entertain another caller before the break. Caller, good morning, and be brief, please. Good morning.
Good morning, GT. Good morning to Dr. Gilchrist, my former manager from Tempe. When we're talking about minimum wage, and Mr. Gilchrist would have known as economists right now that the minimum wage, we got to talk frankly, is $30 in Grenada, right? The argument is to bring it to what stage? Now, you have said, Mr. Gilchrist, that education can hamper the minimum wage discussion. Now, education, having a piece of document in your hand doesn't mean you can do the job. And we clearly see that. So how do we gauge how we go about doing minimum wage grading? So I can be an electrician without a document paper. And I can be an electrician with paper, and I can do the work also. So how do we gauge that level of understanding to bring the minimum wage up to where it's supposed to be? And what is the suggestion, like what minimum wage price or value yourself to the money you're supposed to get? Because salary is monthly, weekly pay is it depends. So how do you go about changing that mindset to economic status to make our monies more valuable and greater? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for your contribution.
Very, very good question. And this is the essence of our engagement. For example, an electrician, an A-class electrician, based on the law right now, gets $100 a day. This is what is in the law, $100 a day. Of course, scarcity would demand a higher wage, right? But of course, so when we meet with the contractors and so on, this is the conversation. How do we adjust it and to what level, based on tasks required, based on experience and other elements? So that is our conversation that we are having with employers to get their viewpoint in terms of what is required to efficiently perform the task given to employees, and what remuneration is just for performing task given. So he's correct. That is the kind of conversation we are having, and I'm hoping that at the end we may not be able to raise it. Well, when we raise it, of course, it will be a compromise. Yeah, because we have to bear in mind employers need to be, to be viable and sustainable. So it's a conversation we are having, and we'll see where the numbers are at, and of course this is our first effort. The conversation will have to continue. We should not be waiting every 10, 12 years to adjust the minimum wage. This maybe should be a annual or every 2 or 3 years should be adjusted. So it's a conversation we are having, and we are getting there. We are getting there. But the caller is right. That's the kind of discussion I'm having with stakeholders, especially employers.
All right. We drew for a break. Let's entertain that break. And when we do come back, we discuss some more. It's To The Point for today, Wednesday. We're coming right back after the break.
Welcome to the highly anticipated second season of Caribbean Medical TV, the first and only medical TV series that showcases the Caribbean and the emerging issues on all health and wellness forums in our region. Like season 1, the voices of our very own citizens, our local and regional doctors and medical experts forged the basis of the show. This season, we take the first groundbreaking original show even further. This series aims to empower our people with knowledge, from ways of detecting to ways of healing ourselves, protecting citizens with chronic diseases from COVID-19, while showing how they can manage their conditions effectively and safely receive needed health care while preserving what constitutes the very core of our Caribbean culture, its predilection for flavor, spirit, and rhythm. This is truly a holistic wellness agenda for our Caribbean people.
Record
welcome back once again to our viewers and listeners. It's To The Point for today, Wednesday, the 12th day of April. And my host would be, of course, my guest with me this morning, of course, is Dr. Gilchrist. And we're talking the wage bill. Dr. Gilchrist, before we further continue in discussing the wage bill, I just want to get your take on some of the financial matters that's out there. We're talking about the recent, World Bank and the IMF report. What can you tell us pertaining to that in terms of in small developing countries like Grenada and so forth? How will we be affected by that?
Well, yes, I read the report, and we had a spring meeting on now. I think Honorable Lennox Andrews is in attendance. The projection for Grenada in terms of growth, economic growth, is 3.7, which is no surprise to me, because I think in the budget speech, I think the Minister of Finance did project a growth of 3.6%. So it just shows that the IMF and World Bank have really validated our own projections in Grenada in terms of a 3.6%, 3.7% growth. So what I'm seeing is that this report really confirmed the view and the approach of the government towards economic growth and development. So it's no surprise to me. As a matter of fact, I even believe that this growth projection of 3.7% is still conservative, because I can tell you, given the aggressive nature by the MIT, Ministry for Transformation Implementation, in terms of trying to remove some of the bottlenecks with projects, I anticipate we'll get a higher growth by the end of 2023. So the 3.7 is great. But I must say, we are not at the forefront in terms of economic growth with respect to the rest of the OECS countries. Because while we are 3.7 based on the World Bank projection for 2023, St. Kitts is 4.5%, Antigua is 5.5%, St. Vincent is 6%. So with respect to the other OECS countries, we still have some catching up to do. But I believe once we hit 2024, you would see growth projection beyond 4%, and hopefully we get to 5% where we can plateau off, in terms of sustainable growth and development. But 3.7% is great, but we still have some catching up to do.
All right. I have a question that's been, of course, thrown out here by someone via our social media platform, and they're saying that they're saying that some opponents of the wage increase are saying that, an increase in the minimum wage at this time, a number of small business will experience financial difficulties. Some may have to close, while others may have to retrench workers. Are you getting that sort of feedback during the consultation? Someone is asking that particular question.
Yeah, well, that is a question that I anticipate, and is a question. Anywhere you have minimum wage adjustment being discussed, is always one of the things that employers will point out. There are sectors in Grenada where wages are low, so we have low wage sectors, and we do have high wage sectors. Yeah, because, for example, this exercise we are embarking on would not really seriously impact the financial sector. Yeah, and there are other sectors that would not really be impacted because their wages are minimum payable to any employees is way above $1,400. Any employee. Yeah? So there are sectors that are low wage. Those sectors, we would work with those sectors, and whatever we agree to, of course, we may have to face it. So let us say the minimum wage as it exists is $500. And let us say we propose moving that to $1,000 per month. Yeah? To a small business person, that's a huge increase. So whatever we arrive at, if we anticipate it would significantly impact the sector, we would propose a phased approach. Just like what happened with the security guards. Remember, it was $3, and they wanted to get it to $8. So it moved from 3 to 6, and then 6 to 8. Okay. So we would work with those low-wage sectors in terms of them being able to manage the adjustment. And also, we are hoping, I can't speak for the minister, but we are hoping by the middle of this year, the government will more or less be in a position where they could pronounce what the minimum wage would look like. And therefore, you are giving employers and employees at least 6 months to prepare for it.
Okay.
right?
Okay.
To come into effect in 2024. So the low-wage sectors, I do admit, will have some adjustments to do, but we will work with them in terms of managing that adjustment process.
Let's entertain another caller. Caller, good morning and welcome.
Yes, Mr. GT, good morning, and good morning to Mr. Curlan, Gilchrist.
Good morning.
I would like to ask, in discussing increase our minimum wage or whatever, would the pensioners who get in pension from NIS be considered in this? Because the cost of living has risen for everybody, not just for people who work here, but people who are getting cost of living have risen, and yet the pension remains virtually the same from maybe 10, 12 years ago. Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
Yes, well, that's an easy one to answer. What we are doing is only for existing workers, so pensioners would not be incorporated into the arrangement. Yeah.
All right.
But I must say, the government is also introducing a new pension scheme, hopefully in 2024. Yeah, and that new scheme would have some new dynamics in terms of adjusting for cost of living as you go on. All right, but as far as I know, those government workers who are on pension, whenever there's an agreement to increase wages by the public sector, trade unions, it usually apply to the existing pensioners, as far as I understand. Yeah, I don't know for the private sector pensioners, employees and so.
All right. Let's entertain.
And also for NS, those who are on NS pension, I can't speak to whether or not there's any automatic adjustment going forward to take in consideration cost of living. I don't know.
All right.
I'll check that out.
All right. Let's entertain another caller. Caller, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. GT. And good morning to Dr. Gilchrist.
Good morning. Good morning.
Gilchrist, you spoke very well. Keep
Thank
it up.
you.
But I want to start by saying, well, I don't know how to put it, but bear with me, sir. Listen, when you open a factory in Grenada, that we have by law, the NIS automatically have to be paid based on your wage. Is it possible, sir, that the union, is it possible that the law could put in place, the union could be represented like the NIS? I tell you what, there's a lot of hotels in Grenada that they are not unionized, and they have not been treated. They fire you how they want, when they want, if they just don't like you. That's one. Is it possible there? No. The wage, I do not think that, yes. And you will say that the Labor Department, if you ununionize, and you could go to the Labor Department, Mr. Gilchrist, that's a no. You could waste your time and go to the Labor Department that has been there for the longest while, and they will push you here, there, left, and right, and nothing will come out of it. And I was thinking, this now, with the change of government, it would have make a difference. It doesn't. What is happening of late, the secretaries will tell you the labor minister is so busy, and she has this other office, and this office is too much. I'm wondering if it's not, the word slipped me there, forgive me for my age too, if it's not too much for her, and the real word, they forget me. Now, I'm saying with the security, and I must congratulate you and thank you for saying
Well, caller,
anyways,
we may have to ask you to we may have to ask you to call us back, caller, when you do get your thoughts a little bit together, because you seem to be not grasping everything that you want to say. I'm sort of understanding what the caller is trying to say, Mr. Gilchrist, but I think she may have to get her thoughts together and call us back.
Yes, I understand. I mean, she's really asking that it become law, that every worker should be unionized. But the way the law is, that's the right of the worker if they choose to choose a union. Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, that's their choice. We can mandate that in law.
All right, let's entertain another caller. Caller, good morning and welcome. Good morning to you, caller. Welcome.
Yeah, is that Mr. Gilchrist on this morning?
Good morning to you, caller. You live on to the point. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning.
I'm glad. You're all doing a great job, and
Thank you.
Heinze School. I was kind of disappointed, not with you, but in that I find that the people that was asking the questions, the minister wasn't answering. The panel on the top, and that is not so good. I'm telling you straight away, not with you. Claudia, you have to do better than that. You have to answer the
No, but let me intervene. I think it was remember, the committee has been appointed by the minister, and the committee is supposed to report to the minister its findings. So in those consultations, we deliberately asked the minister to kind of be low-key. Let the committee take the brunt of the consultation, and then we would report to the minister.
Yeah, all right. But
that was the design.
Right.
That is the design.
Right, that is your position, to which I highly respect. But she should have been the person that should have been answering. It should have been designed. She should have answered it. Anyway, that out of the question. What I'm trying to ask you, they say the minimum wage, fine. But would it be linked to the hours? Because if you're saying people have to pay more, the people have to work the 40 hours a week according to the International Labour Organization, however it is. You can't just say $10,000 and the people not working the hours. One. Number two, are you all taking into consideration the whole economics of Grenada in terms of how much more will people be able to pay? Because Grenada is not a rich country. How much the people are you looking at the companies or the persons or the individuals' financial situation before you all do this thing? Because what you think will happen? Somebody was telling me the other day that they're getting a 3 days work with somebody down in Lansapine. And what the people are going to be doing, they're going to cut back the days. So in other words, and then what employers will be doing too, when you're going to employ 10 people, they're going to just employ less people to do more work and stressful because they're not in a position to pay. So better you have a small wage which is manageable to everybody, and you have more people than less. The opposite, because you have to take into consideration the effects you go have on the NIS, and sometimes people cannot afford. So yes, minimum wage is necessary, but what I'm saying is, are you taking into consideration the person's ability to be able to pay? Because Grenada is not no rich place, so people not able to pay no exorbitant big set of salaries. And then again, number two, what about the working hours? You have to be able to work at certain hours. So this is my concern, really. Are people able to pay? Because people they go cut back hours, they go cut back staff, and it may have the opposite effect. So I just wanted to address that.
Thank you, caller. Yeah. Thank you for your contribution.
Yeah, I think that's great. But yes, the caller is correct. We are taking those things into consideration. We are speaking to employers, understanding their economic and financial situation. We are doing exactly that. And I want to say that the way the wage would be, the way we would recommend the wage or the salary, we would have a monthly wage. That's for full-time workers. And of course, we have a fortnightly wage, and we have one per hour. Yeah. So if you're working monthly, of course you're supposed to work 40 hours a week, Monday to Friday. That's the law. So we would have it in different categories per hour. So you could do 2 hours here, 3 hours here, per day, a fortnightly wage or weekly wage, and a monthly wage. So that's the categories.
All right.
So part-time and full-time people will be covered.
All right. We're moving up. We have 5 more minutes left on today's program. We may be able to entertain 1 or 2 more callers. And caller, good morning. Welcome. Be brief, please. Good morning.
Yeah, I'll be brief. Your penultimate caller was trying to refer to the issue of geriatric workers, because I know she's a really crusader for that. So that is what she was trying to, because I'm glad that he did mention that. These are the people that suffered even more during the COVID thing when they were forced to take vaccine. And if they didn't take vaccine, they were fired, even though they're dedicated people. Thanks.
Thank you. 435-2041. We may be able to accommodate 1 more caller before we summarize today's, of course, program. Good morning to you, caller. Welcome.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I've been listening to the program throughout the program, and I'm not hearing the key thing. The key thing is productivity. Grenada is not a productive place. We have to know that. Productivity. And when you have a slow economy as Grenada's economy, it is very difficult to increase any type of wages, which I agree people should be getting a bit more. But it is very difficult. And when there is no productivity, I cannot understand how the wages is going to come about. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
As the caller mentioned, productivity and so on. One of the reasons for the bi-monthly payment of salaries is to increase the circulation of money, and that helps with the increased velocity in which goods are turned over, and that will help bring some more economic life and economic viability to the country. Productivity is all part of it, but he's correct. And hopefully, I know the Ministry of Labor will be addressing the issue of productivity and punctuality, because it's not just about adjusting the wage; it's about getting production up and increasing, right? So he's correct. The issue of productivity will be addressed going forward.
All right. Dr. Gilchrist, any final take on, of course, the various consultations coming up? We know that that's a reminder, but of course, the public consultation are coming up before we take a wrap this morning?
Yes, we will be at Curran Government School at 6 o'clock this afternoon. So I'm encouraging those who can make it, please try to come there. And, we want to hear from you. We want to hear the wage that you think you should receive. And you can speak for your friends. So whatever category of job you are doing, talk to us. Tell us what's going on. And we are there to listen and speak freely and openly. And I also want to just make one point that the Ministry of Labor is a very confidential place. So workers should not be afraid if they feel that they are being victimized in terms of low wages to approach the Ministry of Labor in a confidential way. That will be treated like that, and should have no fear about the employer getting to know, who reported them and so on. So the labor is very confidential. Right. Yeah, I just want to give them that assurance.
All right, Mr. Gilchrist, I want to thank you once again. Thank you for, of course, being on the program this morning and sharing information. I'm sure the listening and viewing powers did learn a whole lot, and I certainly hope they come out to the various consultations that you will be having and share their views, which could help, of course, sort the problem out in terms of the minimum wage issue that is they'll be trying to have rectified. Thanks once again, sir.
Thank you very much, and have a great day.
You too, sir. Have a good one. Hey, folks, that's how we take a wrap for today's program. To the point, I want to thank all who participated, whether you called or you viewed, you listened. Thank you so much. Join us again for another edition of To The Point here on Classic Radio and GBN TV. Have yourself a lovely day.